Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Real Estate with Ryan. So excited to be with you on a Saturday, talking our favorite topic, real estate. It's in the air. It's a spring market. Glad to be back with you. Been a busy week in the housing market. A lot of things going on. Some news coming out in the housing market. Let's start with that. Fannie Mae, FHA have come out with a new advantage scoring. So I just saw that came out just the other day. And what does that mean for the housing market? Well, it means now more possibly 5 million plus homeowners can enter the market. So if you're renting or first-time buyer, or maybe you don't have the credit score that you need, now this Vantage Plus allows lenders like FHA, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac to take those, let's say you're paying rent for 12 months to your landlord, utility bills, things like that. You'll be able to add those into your credit file and possibly get approved for a loan where maybe you didn't have the sufficient credit. You know, you're new to the market, you're a first-time buyer, don't have a lot of credit card, maybe just student loans, and those things are in the market. So I think that's a big advantage for especially first-time buyers in this housing market. It's really, really important. So much going on. And if you're tuning in for the first time, let's start with that. Always, you can catch Real Estate with Ryan every Saturday. News Talk 98.7, 1 o'clock. We're every Saturday there streaming live on the radio. 92.3 FM. Great partners out there at 11 a.m. And you can catch us out on the Facebook channel as well. So, and of course, all the social media channels, Facebook, X, Instagram, you name it, we're out there, and YouTube. Streaming live. In case you missed the show, always catch Real Estate with Ryan on a rerun. We try to give you the East Tennessee housing market, more of a local feel, what's going on in the housing market, and where is the vibe here now? Is it a buyer's market? Is it a seller's market? What's going on? And I think that's the age-old saying is, what is going on, Ryan? And I think it's just the housing market changing. You know, real estate cycles. And when you have cycles, they go up, they go down, and inventory in the Knoxville market is increasing here in spring. So a lot of people that are thinking about, we're talking today, our topic for our show is 3 things that are not going to happen in today's housing market. So I thought that would be kind of beneficial to you. All the news tells you what's going to happen, all the doom and gloom, but we're going to tell you some things that are not going to happen in today's housing market and how you can prepare as you move forward if you're thinking about purchasing, whether you're buying or selling this year. So before we get too far into the show, we got some new congrats. Let's see what we've got here. Some new listings. New listing out on Morella Avenue in Knoxville. Great little property, possible income producing property there. Make sure you check that property out. New listing out on Highland Reserve Way out in Kingston. Check that property out. 394 Ridgewood Road in Harriman. Another brand new listing there. Congrats to our great builder out in Grandview Court. Beautiful condo out there sold on new construction under contract. Congrats to our great seller on Brushy Valley Drive. Beautiful building site and just went under contract. So, and then our great sellers out in Regas. Penthouse sold down in Regas, just closed, unit 617. Congrats to our great sellers on getting that closed. And if you're watching a little softball today, you know Lady Vols in action. I believe it is the last home game. So amazing Lady Vols, had an amazing season, and I'm sure playoffs and all that starting off. So thanks everybody for watching, following all of our channels the whole year. It's great to see all you guys go to the games and give out some autographs of Carlin and some swag there. It was exciting working there. So let's see what else we got here. So let's talk about getting into the show, things that you not going to happen in today's housing market. And what are you going to see? Well, what we're seeing here in the housing market is obviously some change. Just the other day, interest rates were, it's kind of a roller coaster. And I think everybody that's buying or selling is watching the interest rates. It's a number one factor. Why is it number one factor? We're talking to everybody. It's just affordability. Everything's so darn expensive. It doesn't matter what you buy. I mean, go out to eat, gas. Now gas is rising. All these things affect the housing market. So the biggest misconception in the housing market, which we've seen for the last couple of years, right, is I'm just going to wait, Ryan, because mortgage rates are going to fall dramatically. It's one of those things where the rates are going to fall and I'm going to hold. And we have so many people that are in the housing market that have that 3 or 4% interest rate, and guess what? They're just holding. But time changes. People have to buy, people have to sell. Just sold a family that They couldn't handle the street anymore. Couldn't handle the noise. And there's a development being built. I mean, just go look at Hardin Valley. I mean, where we live, beautiful area. One of the reasons we picked where we're at, we had the horses. My daughter was little, itty bitty, and she loved that the horses were, you could see out the front of our house and kind of out of our window, and especially upstairs. The horses, just as pretty. It was country. Now, the poor horses are gone. Now they're building homes all over. It's construction sites. And it's like, where was the view? And it's just, so those are some reasons that people are changing. Right? So what is changing has cause for going, well, honey, I think I'm just going to sell. It's not exactly, what we thought it was going to be. So a lot of people are leaving. Tired of the HOAs. Can't deal with it. Too many Karens in the neighborhood. I don't laugh, but I mean, right? So, it just can't deal. Maybe you're just not an HOA buyer. I said, Ryan, I'm just not dealing with it. And so all those things are a misconception. One idea is sounds it in social, that as mortgage rates are going to drop dramatically, it's better to wait. And I think one of the biggest challenges in today's market is, if you're watching over the last 5 years, really what we've come across on the housing market, how we've appreciation. All you're seeing is a snapshot right now of the housing market, and you're seeing some adjustments, right? Which is the norm. Buyers are going to buy, sell. There's going to be adjustments. There's going to be credits. There's going to be adjustments in the housing market. But has the drops or the adjustments outpaced the gains? And that's one of the things that's most important if you're buying, our young home buyers or entry buyers, is to get into the housing market. Just get into your first home. And I think some of the things that have come out that the administration that's working on now is obviously some affordability. We've got a new possible Fed chair coming in May. What do we expect there? A lot of people in the housing market, inventory has rose in expectation of what? Hey, this market's going to boom. Got a new president. These things are going to go on. It's not exactly what we thought the housing market is going to be. I think I saw news today, I don't want to quote it, but that there's some investigation into the previous Fed chair. And so there's all kinds of drama going on there. But we knew there possibly will be a new Fed chair. That being said, is he going to drop rates? It's going to be one of these things where, we're constantly watching the Fed. Is the Fed going to do something? Is the Fed going to not do something? And what we've always talked about on this show is, if you're going to do something, do it. Right? Do it because this makes sense. And obviously you don't want to do it at 9 or 10% rates. But the rates have an ability. We just closed one with our great lender and said, Ryan, if we need to modify that rate, we can do it with a 2-page form, and we can adjust those rates. And we do it for our clients all day, every day. And there's like a, $50, $125 charge. So don't let the rates be the reason that you're not moving to a certain degree. Most likely scenario that rates are going to stay somewhere in that 6%. We saw what I was talking about trying in the beginning part of the show was we just saw the rates drop to 6.3%. And anytime you see the adjustment in the market, we're seeing several contracts come into play. So what does it mean? It means we have a lot of buyers that have pent up demand, a lot of buyers still waiting, but that wait is coming to an end, right? We're just starting the spring market, which is a great opportunity where most homes are coming on the market. Now, we had a little bit slower market in the spring than expected, but that's with everything going on, the wars, rates actually going up. Those are going to be, those things are going to happen, right? That's common for the market. But now we're seeing an adjustment, and where does that bring us to the second, third, and fourth quarter of the year for 2026? And a lot of people are seeing that we're going to be somewhere around 6%. And so those opportunities persist. And if you're selling or buying and have that reason, I've got a CEO that's coming in here in a short period of time. So timing has to happen pretty soon. It's can only wait for so long. Kids are getting back to school. Here it is April, but it's hard to believe. I know you guys, it's hard to believe. Kids will be back in school in August. And it's like the summer's almost here. And then in a couple of weeks, it's gone. So keep that in mind. Of course, it depends. Inflation has a lot to do with the economy, where we're based, what's going on today, big drops in the rates. But if we can get around 6, it's a pretty competitive rates. Mortgage rates aren't expected to change much over the quarter. So a lot of anticipation. We may see the low 6s but I don't think we're going to see what we thought. We'll see 4 or 5%. But these are things, not to mention the rates were today definitely a lot more affordable than they were last year. We'll talk about, as we go into the second half, we'll go into the misconception that there's too many homes for sale right now. I think there's some inventory that's come off the market that in January we saw more homes relisted than we've ever seen in a short period of time. So they're taking a minute pause and come back in. Look, we got more for you on the second half, Real Estate with Ryan. We'll be right back.
When speed matters, every second counts.
Wow, that was fast.
In real estate, speed is an advantage.
In football, speed is crucial.
In softball, speed is game-changing.
If you want your home sold fast,
Trust Ryan Coleman and his team at Hometown Realty for fast results.
Thanks, guys. Go Big Orange.
Hometown Realty is East Tennessee's #1 real estate group and a proud sponsor of the Vols.
I'm Ryan Coleman with Hometown Realty. The real estate market's changing every day. You need to know your home's value in today's market. Text your home address to 290-2290 for an instant, no obligation home evaluation. That's 865-290-2290. And remember, when you're ready to sell, we have a guaranteed sale program to get you in your next home stress-free. Trust your hometown experts. We've helped thousands of people just like you. All right, we're back at it. Second half, Real Estate with Ryan. Thank you for staying tuned. Thank you for tuning in this show. It's been a crazy week. Last couple of weeks, it's been wild. And of course, the housing market is all over. Personal note, I had the flu previous week. Flu and pneumonia. I don't recommend that plan to anybody, that especially the weight loss plan. So if you see me on the radio or on camera, I lost a couple pounds. It wasn't by choice. It wasn't by choice, but don't recommend that. And shout out to the guys at Park West Hospital. I mean, they were amazing. The nurse staff there, really great care there. So hope you never go there, but if you do, they'll take really good care of you. So been a crazy week, getting back in the saddle, back on the men, getting back into real estate, and as busy as always. Had an amazing team, keeps things going over here. So all that going on in the housing market. We talked about in the first half segment, as always, we're talking about affordability. Seems like that's a trend for 2026. But we're talking about the feds, what they're doing, that the FHA and Fannie Mae, in case you missed the first segment, are building in that advantage scoring. And so what that means, you count rental, utility bills, things like that. So those are going to be put into play and help more people across the country hopefully qualify and get into home ownership. We have a gauge about 5 million people that could open up the opportunities across the U.S., and so that's always a good thing in the housing market. We're talking about 3 things that are not going to happen in today's market. We're on number 2. We're talking about the misconception that too many homes are for sale right now. You know, I think we just did our market newsletter out to our clients, and we're a little bit over 6,000 homes inventory in the market right now. And in March, I got some numbers here. Let's go to March numbers. I thought this was a good topic here to chat a little bit about. So that in March, the inventory actually increased. And so March is usually a time of the year where you're going to see inventory increase. It's right before the spring market. And but we're 2 times higher. So new listings jumped 21.2% from February, 439,000, a larger non-typical season surge. March typically sees the biggest month-over-month jump in new listings, and the entire buying season averaging 18% increase since 17. This year it exceeded 20%. So I thought that was key, that we're getting a lot more buyers and now sellers back into the housing market. You know, why is that? Hey, it's a combination of reasons that were pulled off last year, coming back into fold for the spring market. And we're seeing the same things move. 2 larger properties, excess of $1 million, we just put under contract. So all those things are a really positive sign, and why there's some reason the homes are on the market. And when you're coming out of the season where the interest rates were, 7%, it's normal to see that pause in the housing market. And so a lot of guys are coming back into that. What does that mean for the housing market as a whole? The problem is the headlines are making something good sound bad. They're focused on how much inventory we've had since 2019 and how many home builders are building. And that makes it sound like the numbers for home for sales are rising too fast. And really, it's actually the opposite. Since COVID and everything happened like that, a lot of builders have not built. They slow down. So we're actually lacking inventory across the country. Not sure if we'll ever catch up to that exact numbers, but those are important numbers that I think most people in the news media, right, will focus that they're not exactly there. So inventory is needed. It's a great opportunity. It's an opportunity for more buyers that are getting the housing market have opportunities that they didn't have before. You know, in today's market, one of the biggest things, I just got done a closing a few minutes ago, and still in today's market where we're getting to more of a balanced market, the biggest challenge we face is buying and selling a home. Got to buy one, got to sell one. Ryan, I got to do them all at the same time. And, you know, all those are challenging. And the biggest thing that we face, and we've talked plenty of radio shows, is that I've got to sell mine, but I don't want to be stuck homeless, Ryan, or I'm afraid to go out in today's market with the cost of everything. And it's just, you know, I'm not going to find my forever home, or it's not exactly what I want. And if that's the case, you'll be like some people last year that said, hey, Ryan, I'm just going to pull it off the market for a minute. So there's that phase going on where now there's opportunities where properties where we can do bridge loans and some things like that, where people are putting their homes on the market and actually closing and finding the ones that they're looking for. And the key is that inventory was not there before. And so just maybe 12 or 18 months ago, if you remember, you know, we would put offers together in the housing market. It's a little crazy. Put an offer together. They get multiple offers. Before you know it, you know, you're throwing in the tractor, you know, throwing in the grandkids, right, just to get the deal done. It sounds wild, but that's truly what it felt like in the market. And now it's more of a balanced market, and you know, even shifting some in favor of the buyers, just depending on what area and what location you're in. So the key reason that why there are not enough home for sales does trigger back to the 2008 market and partly COVID. So saying things to think about there in the housing market, but just did a closing, as I said today, and some of the rates were at new rate for 30-year fixed mortgage, 5.75, only paying a half point. That's very competitive. And when we see that surge come into the housing market, more buyers are coming back into play. So let's talk about our third misconception. Home prices are about to crash. I think that's what you see so across the board. And we're in the Smokies, we're in Knoxville, East Tennessee. And so in every market that you are in, Florida, across the country, everybody's waiting for the bottom, right? You're probably seeing that in today's housing market. We get tons of calls, especially from investors. So you have these investors, and you say, well, you know, it's a buyer's market, Ryan. We're going to be able to come in there and get it for nothing. Well, the challenge for that is that's not really the truth, right? You can get a better deal, but it doesn't mean you can get it for nothing. So you're getting a lot more of those calls across the market. And, you know, it's the market, right? Real estate, the great thing about real estate, it goes up and it goes down. And really understanding that market is so important. I think one of the biggest things you're going to factor in selling this year, whether it's that investment property, it's your forever home, maybe you're selling that bigger property, you're trying to get rid of the stairs, and you need to say, hey, listen, I just can't do these stairs anymore. Whatever the season is, there has to be a reason and why you're selling. And hopefully, you know, you get a great agent or a team on your side, can help you not only solve that problem, but help you get you into something else and put a good situation together and help you market it. You know, so what I see home prices, so Ryan about to crash. So, well, I just don't see that. And I don't see that in the marketplace no matter where you are across the country. And I think what you're seeing is many homeowners aren't selling because they don't want to give up the low mortgage. And they're keeping that. And, you know, there will be a time where some of that inventory will grow. And since the pandemic, since inventory was below norms, you're seeing more markets increase. We're seeing the Knoxville housing market increase. So I thought those are things just to think about. I don't think it's going to be a crash. Is it a buying time in the housing market? I do think it's a better opportunity than we've seen in a long time, with rates maybe possibly adjusting, getting better. Anything in the fives is a great opportunity. And I can say that as we move forward, anything at 6% and below is a great opportunity to jump on it. So don't pull back if you're thinking about buying or selling. That's a great opportunity where I think we're coming on. So number of listings are up. We talked about a little bit of that jumping up in the inventory. We did see here, March talking to April, right now we have almost 1 million homes for sale nationwide. That is up 8%. I thought that was important to know. And it's, a lot of that's trickling down from last year. How about the top 10 markets where first-time buyers have an opportunity this spring? Opportunities where the median income is more affordable and that households 68% or plus can afford. That's kind of let that sink in there. So we got Jacksonville, Florida, ranking number 1. We got Birmingham, Alabama, number 2. You got San Antonio, Texas, number 3. Atlanta, Georgia. That's kind of hard to believe. Atlanta's that market's still up and strong. Hard to believe Atlanta, Georgia ranks number 4. Houston, Texas. That's a great market there. They're number 5 for opportunities for buyers to enter in. St. Louis, Missouri, they're number 6. Now, Detroit, Michigan, not a surprise there. There's buying opportunities in Detroit. First-time buyers allowed to get there. Raleigh, just had some people from Charlotte and Raleigh area. North Carolina, number 8. Baltimore, Maryland, number 9. And then Louisville, Kentucky ranks as number 10 in the housing market for opportunities for first-time buyers to actually see the light at the end of the tunnel. Hope you've enjoyed this show. Had a good time talking to you guys. Glad to be back in the studios talking a little real estate. If you guys need us for anything else in the housing market, just give us a call. Look forward to seeing you back next weekend. Have an amazing weekend, and we'll see you next week.